Monday, and it's Columbus Day in a lot of places throughout the world. And I'm going to talk to you about Christopher Columbus. But before I begin, one thing I tell you folks all the time is listen and read. Because no matter how old we are, we can always learn. I'm going to be 81 years old in 2 months. But unlike a lot of people, I read my comments. And I learned something that I did not know and that I was not taught when I took history in high school. I learned something about Christopher Columbus, and I want to thank, it was written by, brought to my attention by Will. I want to thank you, and I want you folks to know, okay, for all you who subscribe to my channel and you write me, I listen to you, okay? So I wanted to share that with you. Amar, how you doing, Amar? Thank you for coming. Before I get into Christopher Columbus, I want to talk to you about some of the movies I watched, actors that I knew, actors that I had cocktails with, and things that I done in Hollywood, okay? Yesterday, being Sunday, I relaxed. I watched a couple movies. I watched Naked, the movie with Liam Neeson, all right, which is a retake from what Leslie Nielsen used to do, okay? And I didn't care for the one with Liam Neeson. But after that, I watched Naked Gun, okay, with Leslie Nielsen, Priscilla Presley, O.J. Simpson. Those were hilarious. And it's funny that each one of those names that I just mentioned to you, I knew all three of them people, okay? And thank you, Persh. Says we got 26 people in here. Where are they all? Okay, folks, you're not leaving me any comments here today, okay? Now, folks, let's get to Christopher Columbus first, okay? And then I'll tell you about the movies. I'm going to tell you about Tulsa King, okay, and who I know in there, and so forth, and what I think of it, okay? If you haven't yet, folks, please subscribe to my channel. Ted, if you want, just asked me a question. If I can go back in time, what would I say? Well, if you check my YouTube, my Instagram, my TikTok, I tell you exactly what I would do and what I would change, okay? All right? So, if someone asked me, what am I discussing? Obviously, you didn't read what the title of the show is. Let's get to Christopher Columbus, because today is Columbus Day, okay? And you gotta give Christopher Columbus credit because he did discover the New World. You can't take that away from him, okay? He absolutely did that on 3 ships. 3 ships. The Pinto, the Nina, and I want you to tell me what was the 3rd ship. There were 3. Leave in the comments what the 3rd ship was. Okay? I want you to do that. What we don't know, and I thank once again, folks, because I read all the comments, like I said earlier. Students, including me, were taught that Columbus is the one who discovered the Americas. Sailing across the Atlantic in his 3 ships, the Nina, the Pinta, and what's the third one? Put it in my comments, please. All right, the Italian explorer is even celebrated every October during a federal holiday named after him. But the man credited for discovering the New World has long been considered a contentious figure in U.S. history for his treatment of the indigenous communities he encountered and his role in the violent colonization at their expense. Dozens of cities and states, such as Minnesota, Alaska, Vermont, and Oregon, have already replaced Columbus Day with Indigenous Peoples Day. Folks, I didn't know that. So I want to thank, okay, because I read the comments and I listen to you and I learn. So I want to thank you for that. In response to the nationwide protests and conversations surrounding racial inequality, people have been tearing down statues of Columbus to bring awareness to the cruelty he brought upon the indigenous people. What did Columbus really do, and why is he being labeled as a tyrant rather than a hero we were taught to believe? We should question why we as Americans continue to celebrate him without knowing the true history. Sorry, folks. Are we there? Hello? Let me know that you see me. Leave a comment, please. Okay? I had a phone call coming in and it stopped my thing here. All right? He enslaved the natives during his voyage through the Caribbean island and the Central and South American coast. Columbus came upon indigenous people that he labeled Indians. Columbus and his men enslaved many of these native people and treated them with extreme violence and brutality, according to History.com. Throughout his years in America, Columbus forced natives to work for the sake of profit. Later, he sent thousands of Taino Indians to Spain to be sold, and many of them died during the journey. The natives who weren't sold into slavery were forced to look for gold in mines and work on plantations. While he was governor of what is now the Dominican Republic, Columbus killed many natives in response to their revolt, according to history. To prevent further rebellion, he would have dead bodies paraded through the streets. He brought new diseases, all right? The indigenous societies of America were decimated by exposure to old world diseases, crumbling under the weight of epidemic. So he wasn't that good of a guy. He did something good over here, but the bad he did outnumbers the good that he did, okay? So I wanted to share that with you, and I want to thank you. And that goes back to the lesson that I try to teach you every day. Read and listen. God gave us 2 ears, 1 mouth, because he wants you to do twice as much listening as talking. So, thank you folks for that there. All right? Now, let's talk about Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone. I don't miss one episode. We're in the season 3 now of it. Okay, I just watched the 4th episode yesterday. And It's an outstanding performance by Sylvester Stallone, as usual. He's a great actor. But now this season, he brought in a friend of mine, a gentleman that I met. My son met him. All right, we met him. We had lunch at El Pastel. I was with George Gallo, who wrote Midnight Run, Bad Boys. Nick Vallanoga, who wrote Green Book and won Best Picture of the Year. Nick Pileggi, who wrote Goodfellas, Casino, and many others. And Frank Grillo came in. And I happened to have my book with me that day. All right? Thank you, Roman, for that there. Roman said that Jesus loves me. I sure hope so, my friend. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Well, anyway, Frank Grillo came in and sitting at the table. It was the first time I ever met him. And very nice guy. A great actor. And he's now Sylvester Stallone's partner in Tulsa King. He does an amazing job, okay? Playing a wise guy. It's a little different part he normally plays. He always plays a bad boy, though. He does. But anyway, he's looking at my book, and he said, from insurance salesman to Hollywood fixer. He said, what insurance company were you with? I said, well, I began with the Prudential. He says, get out of here. He says, my father worked for the Prudential. Really? I said, yeah, he said. All right. And then he said, my father went to prison too. It was so funny. Here it is. So I autographed the book and I gave it to him. So Frank Grillo has my book, but he does a great job in Tulsa King. If you're not watching it, you should. Okay? Thank you, Officer Lobster, okay, for hitting that thanks button, okay? And I appreciate that there. Folks, any help you can give me is deeply appreciated. I want you to know that. All right, so anyways, there's a part in Tulsa King that I'm trying to wonder how they're going to work this out. Because now the feds got Sylvester Stallone, who's the boss, okay? And they got him doing things for them. Now I'm wondering how Sylvester, or Dwight, his name is in the thing, how he's going to handle this situation, okay? What's going to happen? Because I think that's going to become a main part of this season, okay? What will he do? How does he get out of it? Because it's seeming like he's a rat, okay? That he's doing something with the feds. So how is he going to work that out? All right, I'd like to know. We're all going to find that out together, all right? So I don't know. The other movie I watched last night was I'm watching Naked Gun, okay, with Leslie Nielsen. Now, Leslie Nielsen and there used to be a club here in Century City, okay, and I would meet him there and we had cocktails. It was just a place that we went, and he and I got to know each other that way, had cocktails, okay. I met Priscilla Presley at Joe Esposito's office. Joe Esposito was Elvis Presley's right-hand man. Actually, he's the one who found Elvis in his bathroom when Elvis became unalive. So I wanted to share that with you. And O.J. Simpson, I met him in the driveway of his home. All right? So, folks, I've been around Hollywood. I know a lot of people. I've seen Hollywood at its height, when Hollywood was great. But in the last several years, it's gone downhill like you can't believe. Okay? Hollywood's not the Hollywood. They're not making the movies that you enjoy or I enjoy. All right? You got AI that's messing things up terribly. But it wasn't the AI. Okay? It was Hollywood getting involved in politics. Politics will destroy anything. But speaking of politics, you gotta give credit that finally 20 living hostages are back home with their families. Hamas released them today. Let's hope and pray that we have peace in the Mideast, mid whatever, or wherever they are. Okay? All right? You're right, Jose. Our TV movies were magical to us. They were great. They were creative. Writers wrote great scripts and they made great movies. But no more. No more. They're not using that creative process. I speak daily with my friend George Gallo. I mean, this guy, he wrote Midnight Run, Bad Boys, Middlemen, 29th Street, go on and on. You know the creative? This got nothing to do with Sammy Gravano, so why are you even asking that question? All right? Yeah, Officer Randall Flagg. I'm hanging in there, buddy. Okay? I'm going to be 81. Let's hope I make it. Okay? The 80s are very dangerous years. That's what I think. Okay? Why do I think that? Because I'm seeing too many people dying at age 82. I think my brother was 82. My older brother. Okay? All right? It's, thank you, Blair. I appreciate that. All right? I'm not here to discuss Sammy Gravano, okay? So why do you want to discuss it? And I'm talking about history here today. I'm talking about history that I lived through, history that I thought I knew but didn't. See, when I'm wrong, I admit I'm wrong. I didn't know that about what I read to you about Christopher Columbus. I didn't know that, all right? I didn't know that. I learned it from Will, who wrote a comment. Okay, so I want to thank him for that, for bringing it to my attention. And when he did that, folks, I did my research, and Will was correct. So once again, I want to thank Will, and I want to thank you all for the comments that you leave, because you got one old man here who reads those comments, okay? You have your coffee yet, folks? This is an earlier time that I normally come to do my live show, but, you know, I've been getting up earlier. All right, the coffee is great. I got espresso in here, all right? Now, when I was in the 30s, it was a different world, my friend. Different world than we have today. People were happy. Okay, people communicated with each other. People loved each other. You did things, okay? Today, people don't communicate. People think that texting. Neo1, thank you for that. Thank you for hitting that thanks button, folks. Okay? Every dollar you folks help me with helps me continue to do what I do here. All right? And bring you truth, facts. All right? All right? I don't know Will Wheaton, Mr. Wonderful. Don't know him. Folks, you don't have many people to come out here on YouTube and give you the truth and the facts about things, okay? But that's one thing you could always count on with me, okay? That you're going to get the truth, the facts. If I'm wrong, I'm going to admit it. Sometimes I make mistakes. After all, we're all human beings, so we all make mistakes. But the important thing about when you make a mistake is you must learn from the mistakes. Some people never learn because they don't listen, they don't read, they don't want to learn, and they think they know everything. I don't know everything. I only know what I know. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay? You see, there's a lot of people who don't communicate. No, people don't communicate anymore. People don't read. People don't read. But folks, you know, I do have a book. All right, here's my book, The Accidental Gangster, From Insurance Salesman to Hollywood Fixer. It's the book. Frank Grillo has it. Many other actors have it. They have read it. They love it. Okay? Every word in here is the truth. It's available in Audible or audio. If you don't like to read, you could listen to it. It's available in Kindle. So it's available in every form that you can get. Okay? You know, and we're talking about historian. You notice that I don't talk a lot about the mob life that I lived, things that I done, because some of the things I cannot discuss for legal reasons, okay? And I don't listen to these so-called mob historians you see on YouTube. Okay? They get their information from newspaper clippings and court documents. So they're not getting the whole story. They don't know what the truth is. And they come out and they give what their opinion is. If I want somebody's opinion, I'm going to ask for it. Okay? All right? But I want the truth. Okay? So I don't listen to these mob historians who were never a gangster, were never on the street, and don't know a damn thing about being a gangster, what a gangster life is like. Now, tomorrow, and I'm telling you all right now, I've been telling you, tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, I'm going to have a friend of mine that I met while in prison and Lompoc FCI. His name is Lou Ziskin, Ziskin. Young Jewish kid who was the biggest ecstasy dealer in the country. How he got caught, how he had 2 federal indictments, how he was facing life in prison, how he had money. He hired the best attorneys, and then he fired them, and he defended himself, and he won some of his counts against him. How he only ended up doing 13 years in prison instead of life. You don't want to miss this show. Yeah, there were some mafia people that did not like drug dealing, all right? And I'm going to talk about that there, okay? But they always wanted the money from drugs, okay? All right? I'm going to talk about where Jimmy Hoffa is. What happened to Jimmy Hoffa? Okay? Who sent the message to Detroit from New York? How messages are transferred? Things you don't know. I know. And I'm going to be talking about those. So in my future shows. So folks, what are you going to do the rest of your day? Are any of you working? Leave it in the comments. Let me know. And who knows what the third, I know what the third ship is. All right? Lindy. There's my old friend Lindy. All right? Michael said a lot of things. You think I give a shit what Michael said? Okay? All right? Lindy wants to come in and break my balls, folks. Okay? She lives, I'm not going to talk about her. All right? Yeah, I don't care what Michael said. All right, folks? What Michael talks to me about, and I talk to Michael about two different things, what he said. Okay? So you folks better really check before you come out and say anything stupid. Okay? Check out what the reality of things is. I got Michael's phone number right on my phone. People like, you want to talk about Michael Frank Hayes and Sammy Gravano. Okay? You all know the true story on there. Check my interview on Blad. Okay? You know, Michael and I had a big war. Why? We ended that war. We don't talk bad about each other no more. What's the sense? If you can't talk good about somebody, don't talk about them at all, okay? And for those of you who want to come in here to create a problem and think you're going to start a war with me or Michael or Sammy, okay, or anybody else, okay, you're totally wrong, okay? It's not going to happen, all right? Because I'm not going to allow it to happen. All right? Yeah, Michael, I'm old. I tell you how old I am. So listen up, all right? A lot of things that Michael said, I'm glad. Go to the interview that he did with Grant Cardone on Twitter. Twitter? Yeah, it's called Twitter. Or X, it's called X now. Okay? Go look at that there. You want to see it? It's on my shows. Okay, go back and look, listen. Okay? Anyways, folks, now it's President Trump signs Gaza peace plan. It's signed, folks. He's done it. Okay? Take Lindy out of here, please. Okay? I don't want Lindy around no more. Folks, as you know, Lindy was my moderator. I try to get her a job with others. They don't want her, okay? Because she'll text you 1,000,000 times a day, all right? She'll start telling you what you should be doing, okay? So that's it, okay? So Anthony, you're there? Block Lindy. Take her out of my life, okay? I try to be nice. Well, folks, thank you all for coming. I want you all to have a wonderful, blessed day, okay? Never thought you'd be talking to a phone. No, never thought it in my life. What's going on, what we're doing, how the social media, never thought, folks. So everybody have a blessed day. God bless. Take care. Okay? Bye-bye.